Oh, come on, that's the best you can do?
What do you do to fill the void while trying to think of things to talk about for Game of Thrones?
Place your bets.
Exactly. You let companies create actual odds of who is going to be on the Iron Throne at the end of the season.
I usually just Hodor.
Yeah, he didn't make the list, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me get this popped up here. Where'd it go? Unless you guys have the odds in front of you.
I do.
Oh, you do? Okay,
yeah. Danny and John are both at 2-1. Bran Stark is at 3.5-1. The Night King is in 4th place at 10-1. Tyrion at 12.5. Cersei and Jamie at 15.
Wait, I love that Tyrion has a half in there.
Absolutely. Oh, Sansa at 25, Arya at 40, Euron Greyjoy at 50, Varys and Gendry and Samwell all at 75, and pretty much everybody else is at like 100-1 or worse. Then with one special exception is the Mountain, who's at 150-1 because he's basically dead already.
Where was Cersei at in that list?
Cersei is at 15-1, just after Tyrion.
Okay.
And right before Seabiscuit.
Oh, right before Seabiscuit.
Yeah, this
Triple Crown.
It was the odds makers Bovada that gave out these odds. So
I like it.
Beacon, you made a comment in the writers' chat before, and I'm totally on board with you.
Yeah, let's all gather our money together and put that money on Gendry because 75 to 1 odds, man. $10 pays 750, right? Is that how that works? Yeah.
Like
that.
So if let's ask this because we've already said this isn't going to happen. But let's ask this: if the Reddit theory that went that Bran is the Night King and he ends up on the throne, then how does that work?
Did you get 13.5-1? I guess.
I think it depends on what form is taken when he gets on the throne. Maybe that. Is it young Bran that sits on the throne?
Yeah, or is
it the actual Night King? I think that's probably they would go down to that type of. I mean, we were talking about a casino, man. They're come on, they're gonna try to hold their money as best as possible.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even in that little article, like it reads the rules out to you, like blah blah blah. It's depending on what does it say? The winner will be the confirmed king or queen of the Andals and the First Men. If there is no king or queen, whoever rules or controls King's Landing at the time will be deemed the winner. like they're setting up the rules for a boxing match or something.
Wait, like what if Jon and Daenerys decide to rule together? No, which is a huge possibility.
What if Tyrion really is the third head of the dragon? That would be awesome. All 3 of them.
What if all 3 of them rule together? Then what? Then nobody. All bets are off.
Can you bet a trifecta?
I don't like Bovada will like us asking these questions and throwing in wrenches into their
trifecta. I love it.
Yeah, that's the trifecta.
I think Super Hoovian nailed it. It's going to be Bran until the last second, at which she will reveal herself to have been Arya Stark the entire time.
Nice.
Oh man.
Oh, so based off of these odds, do you have somebody? You said Gendry would be a good one.
If I was betting, I was.
We're not betting, but off these odds, is there somebody that you guys would take on the chances of ending up on the throne?
I mean, who we believe will, or just if you were betting? Because those are 2 different things to me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Don't always bet your beliefs. Especially if you're a sports person.
Off the odds that they're giving you.
I would be willing to bet Tyrion. It's only 12.5-1, but I think he's got the best chance out of the non-Starks or Targaryens.
That's, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
And obviously, Jamie stands a chance, a decent chance. That's 15-1 odds, right? I mean, that's decent betting numbers, but I think it's going to either be Jon or Daenerys, but
yeah, me too.
I think so too.
I'm going with the numbers there.
If I was going to go numbers, and the people that I'd like to see end up on the Iron Throne the most, I would go with the 100-1 odds of Tormund or Davos.
Oh god, that'd be awesome. Maybe it would be Tormund and and Brianna Tarth just together on the throne. Yeah. Make that happen.
That is a lot of Band-Aids.
The odds and what you guys are bringing up here, I think we mash them both together and we're onto something. I don't think it's very likely we're going to see Jon and Daenerys, but I do think that a very, very Game of Thrones thing would be to see both of them headed exactly that direction, and one of them either completely giving up or getting flat out killed and being replaced by one of the other folks, but it's still being one half of that pair, siding up with someone else.
Just from your phrasing there, I now want to see a very Game of Thrones Christmas.
Do it like the family reunion for the Wookiees and the Star Wars Christmas.
Jack Malice says it
just
should be
inappropriate.
Ghost. Jack Malice says Ghost should take the throne.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We got. I got Whiskey Gamer. Welcome, Whiskey Gamer, to the chat room with Random White Walker. Will get it.
Yeah. Random White Walker number 5.
It's like a red shirt. Oh wait, no more Star Trek.
I like Davos. I rule the Iron Throne.
with no fingers.
Jack Malice says it would be a very red Christmas.
Oh, yes. Well played, sir. Well played.
Snoopy's house didn't start out red.
Baku says the throne would be destroyed from all the lovemaking of Tormund and Brienne.
I need an adult.
Jack says the odds are never in your favor in Game of Thrones.
I mean, yeah. But that's why Gendry is such a man. That is, like I said, man. If you are going to bet, to me, that's where you put your money. It's only a 10 spot, you know.
Yeah,
that's a payoff and a good chance. I mean, he's got a rightful claim to it. So
I like that bet, especially odds wise. I just wonder, like, how many people would have to die before they would fight against him being put up there. Because you know that Danny's not going to let that happen. A Baratheon? No.
Yeah.
And then the Lannisters, not big fans of him.
He's not a Baratheon. He's a stone, but...
Yeah.
Well, remember, this is Game of Thrones, so...
they call the people born...
Waters.
Masters of the Rivers? No, that's...
Waters. Is it because of Blackwater? I don't remember.
Blackwater? I don't know.
In all seriousness, this is Game of Thrones, so never take any thought or statement that includes how many people would have to die for it.
Yeah, and that's
lightly.
The last 2 episodes could just be wholesale slaughter, and Gendry's the only one left standing. That would work.
He's like, what do I do now?
That sounds like a Terry Gilliam ending, and I'm okay with that.
Jeez. I could see Arya, like, escorting him, too.
He just wanders sadly off the battlefield, holding his bull helmet in one hand, dragging a hammer with the other.
Hot pie. Hey, what's the odds of hot pie?
Well, we're just going off of the like. Whiskey Gamer says, a dragon should get the throne. Come on, it's a dragon. just knock the throne out of the way.
Gosh, that's
yeah. Jack Malice says Tormund's first decree would be all men must have huge, sexy beards.
We're gonna throw out the classics now. 2 classics and a newer version, right? Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2, and the new Ghostbusters. So we're gonna talk about those, and I can start if you want.
I'm gonna let Nick go. Actually, I would like to hear.
Yes.
I'd like to hear Nick's take on this.
All right, so we're starting out with Ghostbusters 1.
Ghostbusters 1.
Give us all 3, yeah.
I'm gonna have to do Ghostbusters 1 as a high 2 for me.
Okay.
It's not gonna get tier 1, and the reason why it gets a high 2 is because that movie came out when I was really young, and I saw that when I was really young, and I loved it. I still love it when I see it come on today. It's more of a nostalgia factor, but Bill Murray is one of those guys that, I mean, I pretty much like every movie that Bill Murray's in.
True story.
I mean, and then the Marshmallow Puff Man.
Stay Puff.
Yeah, Stay Puff. I mean, those are classic, iconic scenes, and it's definitely can't be a tier 1, but we're talking about an iconic movie, something that was probably one of the biggest movies in all the 80s. The most recognizable theme song of maybe movie history. Everybody knows the Ghostbusters song for the most part. And that's the reason why I give it a high 2. Ghostbusters 2, that drops into that low 3 category for me.
Not a big Vigo fan.
Not. Yeah, I didn't.
Vigo the Impaler. What was it?
I don't remember.
Whatever.
I just watched
That would be a low 3.
Okay.
And then the most recent Ghostbusters, that would be kind of a low 4.
Gotcha.
I just didn't care for it as much as the original crew.
Yeah.
It just wasn't as just the other two. I mean, especially the first Ghostbusters was more on point with their delivery as far as the jokes, and just the storyline in general is just much better, much more solid. It's just that the most recent one, I mean, that's the worst one of the 3. It's still entertaining. It's by far not a movie that I watched and was like, oh my God, I immediately regret my decision that I watched that movie. Entertaining, but low 4.
Okay. We are getting a lot of different opinions on Ghostbusters in the chat room right now. We've got tier 1 for the first film. We've got everything from tier 1 to tier 3. And everything from tier 4 to tier 6 for the newest one. So, looking forward to seeing what you think, B.
So last time we talked, I had not seen the new one. Matt threw out this challenge, and I hadn't seen the new one yet. So I actually, and this is kind of cool. So the original Ghostbusters came out last Friday. So it's a shout out to their anniversary.
I didn't even know that, honestly, when I challenged you to it. I love Ghostbusters that much.
Well, it's kind of cool because you challenged it. That was Thursday night that we recorded. We turn around Friday. I watched all 3. And I didn't even realize it was Ghostbusters Day, and it was like
awesome.
Freaking awesome, dude. So I started by watching the new one. And I will admit, unlike Nick, I did regret watching it. I actually turned around and watched 1 and 2 to wash the taste out of my mouth from the new one.
Wow.
With that being said, it is not a tier 5 for me. It is a tier 4, and it makes a tier 4 to me for 2 very specific reasons. Leslie Jones kills it. I really love everything she does. I love watching her on Twitter and just reading her tweets while she
Leslie
watches.
Jones is unapologetic about how amazing of a human being she is.
She's awesome.
And she has a powerful personality.
I love it. So good.
And Kevin like makes that movie, dude. Holy hell, dude.
Do you like this photo of me playing the saxophone or listening to the saxophone? I love that. I cried at that moment in the theater when that came out.
He was so good in that movie. Like, oh my God, dude. Like, I was laughing just so hysterically because of him. With that being said, like, I hated Melissa McCarthy in the movie. Did not care for her. Did not care for Kate McKinnon. Didn't really. They just didn't do it for me. It was like, so the great thing about Ghostbusters 1 is you only had one person cracking jokes. You had Bill Murray cracking jokes, and that was it. It was very balanced in its serious scientific almost approach, right? With Ray and Egon, and then you have Bill Murray like cracking the jokes to kind of lighten the mood.
Yeah.
This was it was like every other thing was a joke. And that's what killed the movie for me is it just didn't do it for me. So it's a 4. Ghostbusters 1, solid high tier 2. You could convince me to put it in tier 1. I think you could probably talk me into it, but it's definitely a tier 2. Arguably could be a tier 1. Love the movie. Ghostbusters 2 for me is a 3, and probably a low 3 because there's not enough Winston in that movie.
Okay.
Sorry.
There you go.
It's not the original Ghostbusters.
Here's the thing. So you guys agree on tier 2 with Ghostbusters 1, and I think you are all both of you are terribly wrong. It is a tier 1. It is 100% a tier 1 film because it does something that so few movies fail at doing, and it's something that we really haven't been able to get since the 80s, and this was kind of an 80s thing, and it really only happened with maybe Gremlins was one of the other films, but we had a film that had comedian actors in it that was actually a phenomenal acted film that had horror, that had scary moments, that had thrills, jumps, all those different things, but still did almost everything correct. I honestly, that film right there, Ghostbusters, was, and I'm a little rose-colored glasses. I'm gonna admit I'm a little biased towards it, but Ghostbusters 1 is absolutely tier 1, legendary film. If you stuck me on an island and I could only have one film the rest of my life, the first Ghostbusters is absolutely it.
I'm okay with that.
Rick Moranis, I
Yep.
mean, just amazing in the film. Bill Murray at his absolute best. But here's the thing: you guys are missing the best part of this. Sigourney Weaver, man.
Oh yeah.
Sigourney
The girl.
is my woman, the
First
love of my
crush.
life. Between her and Princess Leia, young Matt was made a man with these women. So I love them both so much. Absolutely. I cannot say. I struggle to let people try to convince me that there's better movies out there than the first Ghostbusters.
Okay.
I think
I'm
Rose
okay
from
with
Star
that.
Wars is going to be jealous, man.
And I'm totally okay with
She
that.
should be. She should be jealous because Sigourney Weaver wins every time. Second, Ghostbusters 2.
Yes.
Tier 3. Good film, not great film. I kind of liked the slime thing. I liked the pink slime when they're yelling at it in the courtroom and screaming at it and calling it names. They're making it dance later on in the film. Good stuff. I liked it. Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters. It is a high 3, early 2 for me for a couple of reasons. First off, once again, I have very rose-colored glasses, and anything you would have given me Ghostbusters at that time, I probably would have loved. The thing is I'm a huge fan of Kate McKinnon. I'm a huge fan of Leslie Jones, and I thought those two did amazing, amazing things in that film. I love what the women did in that flick. I really enjoyed them bringing that back and trying to keep a great feel for that film. And Chris Hemsworth was awesome. I thought he was a great compliment to there, and I love the gender swap with him and Annie Potts.
Yeah.
I dug that. I really did. So for me, Kate McKinnon, Leslie Jones, that SNL crew with Kristen Wiig crushed. And you know what? Melissa McCarthy, people can say what they want to say about her. I honestly think she had a little bit of a better job in this film than she's had in a long time, and I'm actually looking forward to some of her stuff later this year that she's gonna be a little bit more serious in. I think it's time for her to break out of her slapstick role and pull a bit of a Jim Carrey on us and hopefully get some serious stuff, get some better acting in there. I'm looking forward to seeing what she has to come because I think it's time for her to get out of those shoes.
So where did you rank that?
I'm giving it a tier 2.
Oh my.
Tier 2. Yeah, I'm giving it above the second Ghostbusters. Wow. Yeah.
We always say friends don't let friends quest alone, but brother, you're gonna have to make that quest on your own, man.
I highly disagree with Matt there.
First one, a teen-oriented series set at Starfleet Academy from Stephanie Savage and Josh Schwartz, the duo behind the recent Dynasty reboot and Marvel's Runaways adaptation. I'm excited for that for one reason. I liked Runaways.
Runaways was
I like
great.
Runaways too.
And if you're going to focus on teens in Starfleet, what they did with Runaways and keeping...
I'm half on board for this one. Yeah.
Okay.
What are you going to say, Igor?
I have a lot I could say.
It's a podcast. You say a lot. Come on.
Well, it's actually been, for one thing, the quick note is that it was actually even more financially solvent than that a few series ago, because first it was Deep Space Nine and Next Gen running at the same time. Then it was Deep Space Nine and Voyager.
Okay.
But I hit saturation point a while ago. Yep. So I'm kind of echoing again, saying, Vader, you preach it, because it real for me. It already was the worry you brought up, Zorro, where it just doesn't feel like there's anything to it anymore. Like the original had, if you could boil it down really simply, it had, guess what? You are not the most important thing in the universe. Get used to it. And generation, and not generations, dang it, but Next Generation essentially had, guess what? Other people do things differently than you do. Get used to it. And Voyager had a lot of potential. It had essentially the Gene Roddenberry meets Lost in Space, but they didn't keep to that theme. They just kind of wandered away from that. And then what was that Enterprise's point? Scott Bakula and look, we can make shiny ships.
Yeah.
But I wanted Scott Bakula on TV for the longest time after Quantum Leap, and he wasn't on anything.
And DS9 was like, hey, what if we took all the setting of Star Wars and didn't go anywhere?
DS9 was so boring.
Yeah, it was.
You remember
Star
how
Trek. Don't mix the stars up. It's Star Trek.
you remember how you love the Star Trek universe and how Babylon 5 was terrible? Let's do those together.
I can't tell you, when you first read that description, though, I'm kind of nervous because it almost makes it sound like it's going to be like, I don't know, something Melrose Place or something like that. I don't know.
If it was just Dynasty, if they had just done the Dynasty reboot, I could get that. Runaways had a little bit of that, but they did really good with dealing with the dynamic of teenagers and you know.
Star Trek 90210.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm picturing Will Wheaton as a professor at Starfleet, and I don't like it.
Oh no, 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 no!
It's Saved by the Bell of college years.
Time out.
It's all been about Westworld this week. The finale was fantastic. It just was absolutely mind-blowing, jaw-dropping. And everybody I've basically talked to or met or ran into randomly in the streets, at the grocery store, and public bathrooms, I've ran up to them and been like, hey, did you watch the Westworld finale? And yeah, that's how most of my conversations have started this week.
Public bathrooms too, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the best place to get Westworld at, if you didn't know.
Damn, man, what did you eat over there?
Jack wants to make sure we talk about Darkwing Duck because that's what's going to carry everybody. So,
well, that's why he's saying that Disney's still good, still got a one up on DC. I mean, the other reason that he said earlier when he did his mic drop in the chat room was that they'll never have the one up because they put Superman into their TV shows and movies. So
yeah, well, until they remake Darkwing Duck, they don't have up on anybody because they need to bring that back because the new, all of the new DuckTales stuff has been fantastic, by the way.
Oh, God, yes, it is.
It has been killer. So once again, poo on your thing about no good cartoons out, Sarah. So
no, that's why I didn't say all of them. I just said a lot of the super popular ones I find complete and utter garbage. But again, that's a retake of an old one, so they have a good strong base to work with. They weren't creating crap out of thin air. I would like to see Darkwing Duck brought back. I personally would like to see Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers brought back, Disney. That was a great cartoon from the 90s. It combined two of my favorite things with Sherlock Holmes and Indiana Jones.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Chip 'n Dale's.
Well, Chip 'n Dale, no.
I like Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
Yeah.
I loved the freaking Disney afternoon, man.
The Disney afternoon was actually pretty solid because you had Tailspin as well, and that was fantastic.
What about Gummy Bears?
Yes, Gummy Bears.
Okay,
no, now you're pushing.
No story. Gummy Bears? Like, this is ridiculous.
Well, that's what they finally revealed. Flash 49. Both of the Flashes, Wally and Barry, were running like crazy through all these different things going on, and Superman straight up said they're going too fast. He can't keep up with them.
Right.
So, do you guys think that that's the quintessential answer? Flash is by far faster than Superman, and always should have been, and there should have never been any question of that.
Should have never been a question. Superman is undoubtedly fast, don't get me wrong, but I mean, he literally, the speedster, that's your thing. It's speed. How do you beat the thing? That's like, saying that people could beat Michael Jordan. I don't know. Michael Jordan was like the quintessential basketball player of the 90s. No one could touch him at basketball. Sure, they might be able to beat him at other things, but you're never going to touch him at basketball. You're never going to beat Barry Allen at speed.
Yeah, well, Superman is technically not a human, per Polyfuse in the chat, so does not matter. Yeah. So and here's the thing: why did this need to be settled? Like, that is one of the great arguments of comic books: is who is faster. Why can't we continue that argument?
Because they always have to ruin it after so many years.
But here's the thing: it's comic books. They'll retcon it, and in 5 years, 10 years down the line, there will be some new form of kryptonite that lets Superman tap into the Speed Force, and boom, he's faster than this Flash.
Yeah, and that's the question I have. Does anybody have any ideas of what they think of how they could retcon this and change it?
Yeah, just turquoise kryptonite. Let's go.
Turquoise kryptonite.
Turquoise kryptonite.